I want to talk about purple today, which may lead to talking about other secondary colors and how to mix them. This is a little advanced lesson. Some of you won't be that interested if you're just learning. But let's talk about these 6 pigments and how we're going to remember that if you want to make a bright color in watercolor, you can only have 2 pigments. You can only have 2 colors in your pigments. So let's start with, this is a blue, and we're going to make purple. So remember from kindergarten, blue and red make purple, right? So there's a blue. And here's a different blue. You can see the differences in these 2 pigments when you put them next to each other, especially when you lighten them. And this particular blue is staining, so it gets on my brush and messes up my water real quickly. But you can see the difference, right? And we want to think about how to make a bright purple right now. And how many purples are there? Thousands. But we want to try to make a bright purple so that we can decide about the 3rd primary if we want to tone it down. You can't go backwards in watercolor. All right, so now we're going to go to the red with blue in it to leave that yellow out. This one has yellow. And we're going to have, that's red with none of these colors are pure, one color pigment or another. This is red with blue in it. So if I could sort of try to make half and half of these 2, then we're going to get a fairly bright purple. Now the secret is that no color has, no pigment, or no paint rather, has only 2. There's a little bit of mud in there, so we can make quite a lot of pretty bright purples out of this one. Is this purple? It's got a little bit of red in there, see? And then you can lighten them, and you've got more magenta kind. You don't need to name these colors. What you want to do is be able to decide what percentage of blue and red is in the color that you want. Okay, so those are fairly bright purples. Just do a couple more. It's slightly dependent on how dirty your paint is. Mine's slightly dirty. But that's a pretty bright purple, which I can tone down with yellow. But let's try the yellow blue for a minute. This is kind of a mystery. So you're going to use, this has yellow in it, and it shouldn't be in there if you want a bright purple, but let's just see how much the yellow in this one interferes. I'm going to use the same red, and we're going to see some purples coming out of this. Is that a dull purple compared to that one? Hardly any difference. I don't know why the yellow in this one doesn't interfere that much. It's something to do with the chemistry of it. So you can get a fairly bright purple out of this. It's a different purple, slightly different. So I'm still using the blue with yellow in it. And we're getting a different array of pretty bright purples. The yellow isn't showing up as much as you might think. Whereas if we were using the red with yellow, which has yellow in it, and either one of these blues, let's use the blue with no yellow first, then we're going to be heading towards a brown color real quick. Okay, so I only did this for more advanced students who are interested in the nuances of color, making colors. If you're just learning, don't use the blue with yellow. Use it because the principle behind it is sound. If I want to dull this color, I just add a little yellow. It's going to dull that down. But we're getting some pretty bright. Now, I just don't know why. It has something to do with the mystery of the pigment itself and how it comes across to our eye. And I can't explain it. I'm not sure anybody can explain it. But there's a little yellow in this purple, and yet it's still pretty bright. And when you add the yellow this way, it's too much. Okay, that's our purple story for today.